Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Vallabha Giridharadhari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 14. And the verses that are given is from 1 to 15. So what we'll do is that we will read, okay. Oh, okay. So read verses 1 to 15 and then the assigned verses number 12. So then we will chant together number 12. So if everybody could take turns reading the English translation from 1 to 15. Go ahead.
Shakadev Goswami said, after hearing from the great sage Maitreya about the Lord's incarnation as Varaha, Vidura, who had taken a vow, begged him with folded hands to please narrate further transcendental activities of the Lord, since he, Vidura, did not yet feel satisfied.
Sri Vidura said, O chief amongst the great sages, I have heard by disciplic succession that Hiranyaksha, the original demon, was slain by the same form of sacrifices. Personality of Godhead, Lord bore.
What was the reason, O Brahma, for the fight between the demon king and Lord Bor, while the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastime?
My mind has become very inquisitive, and therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please therefore speak more and more to devotee who is faithful.
The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting of a devotee, because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. He is a source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die.
By hearing these topics from the sage Narada, the son of King Uttanpada, Dhruva was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead, and he ascended to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death.
This history of the fight between the Lord as a boar and the demon Hiranyakasha is heard by me in a year long ago, as it is described by the foremost of the demigods, Brahma, when he is questioned by the other demigods.
Diti, daughter of Daksha, being afflicted with sex desire, begged her husband, Kashyapa, the son of Marichi, to have intercourse with her in the evening in order to beget a child.
The sun was setting, and the sage was sitting in trance after offering oblations to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire.
In that place, the beautiful deity expressed her desire. O learned one, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcefully, as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree.
Therefore you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy.
A woman is honored in the world by benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children, because you are meant for the expansion of living entities.
In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we would prefer to select as our husband.
Our well-wishing father, Daksha, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you, and since then we have all been faithful.
O lotus-eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his pleas should never go in vain.
So, verse number 12, we'll chant the Sanskrit and Bhartariyapto Rumananam Lokan Avishate Yashaha Pati Bhavad Vidho Yasam Prajaya Nanujayate. Please chant. Go ahead. Bhartariyapto Rumananam Anyone else? Bhartariyapto Rumananam Lokana Vishate Yasam Pati Bhavad Vidho Yasam Prajaya Nanujayate. Bhartariyapto Rumananam Lokana Vishate Yasaha Pati Bhavad Vidho Yasam Prajaya Nanujayate. Word to word. Bhartari, by the husband. Apta Urumanana, of those who are beloved. Lokan, in the world. Avishate, spreads. Yashaha, fame. Patihi, husband. Bhavat Vidha, like your good self. Yasam, of those whose. Prajaya, by children. Nanu, certainly. Jayate, expands. Translation of Prabhupada Prabhupada. A woman is honored in the world by the benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children because you are meant for the expansion of living entities. Purport. According to Rishabdev, one should not become a father or mother unless one is confident that he can beget children whom he can deliver from the clutches of birth and death. Human life is the only opportunity to get out of the material scene, which is full of the miseries of birth, death, old age, and diseases. Every human being should be given the opportunity to take advantage of this human form of life. And a father like Kashyapa is supposed to beget children for the purpose of liberation. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Vancha Kalpatrivasya Kripasandhya Patitana. According to Rishabdev, one should not become a father or mother unless one is confident that he can beget children whom he can deliver from the clutches of birth and death. Any questions or comments? Yes, Kunti.
Reflection, but the thought that I had was that I could never have faith in myself, but I could have faith in Prabhupada.
Thank you. Appreciate that comment. Yes, Prabhu.
How can we be completely confident when children will always have their own free will?
Anybody would like to respond to that question? You can see I'm not giving class today. All of you are. Yes, Prabhu.
The best advice I ever heard about parenting, it was probably 20 years ago, and I never forgot it, was you just tell them everything that you can and hope they listen.
Yes, Prabhu. Back there. Question is, how can you be confident when they have their own? Here, Srila Prabhupada is saying, the question by, sorry, I have to ask your names. Nace. So the question by Nace was that, is that the right one? Nate. Okay. What's the problem with hearing? Nothing problem. No, nothing big. So the question by Nate is, children have their own free will, and Srila Prabhupada is saying here that one should not become a father or mother unless he's confident that they're going to deliver him or her. So, yes, Prabhu.
You can't be. Like you can't attach yourself to fruitive activities. You can just do your best and walk away. As Krishna just delivered the information, he's like, there it is. Good luck.
Okay, sounds good. Yes, Adishan Prabhu. All the brahmacharis are telling us what to do. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
I'll tell what my mom told me.
What's that?
I'll tell what my mom told me.
Oh, okay, good.
Well, first thing is, what can parents do? Well, they can do the best they can to beget the child, beginning from the right process. This whole garba, samsara, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know that the first 5 years of the child's life is the most essential. And a parent can do their best first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And down the road, my mom told me, I did the best I could.
Mm-hmm.
It's your spiritual education, it's your regular education, but now your karma kicks in.
In what time? When does the karma kick in?
Well, she didn't say exactly, but she told me when I was a teenager, so I suppose that's when it does.
Mm-hmm.
But at least that they said 10 age of 5, that's when intelligence wakes up. So mother is the first 5 years, father comes in a little bit later in the picture. So the best we can do is educate ourselves first before we get a child, I suppose.
Okay, so your answer to Nate's question is that you become good yourself, like fix up yourself, and then give the best to the child, and then when the karma kicks in, it kicks in, and basically that's what others were saying. Yeah. So in that way, we can be confident. Yes, Nate.
I think it's just also like you can't be super attached to it, and it's the nature of a teenager to rebel against whatever the parents like the authority. So you can just plant seeds and know that like any devotional service they do, is still for their benefit, whether or not they like fully decide to commit for themselves later or not. You're still helping them out, and yeah, all teenagers will naturally rebel and do stupid things behind your back. It's just the nature of it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Shruti Sara, bro.
This reminds me of that quote from Chanakya Pandit that things from age 1 to 5 you just give the child love, and then 5 to 16 you're like a lion basically, and then after 16 they're friends. You're friends with your child.
Although Srila Prabhupada here seems to me saying that he's saying that before you become a father and mother, and actually this verse comes from, like Srila Prabhupada is saying, Rishabdev's in Canto 5. Let me see if I have it here. In Canto 5, Rishabdev is telling his sons this instruction. He's saying, one who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. Actually, in the word to word, it's interesting. I was looking at what the word to word, there's one word that says swajana, I think. Where is it? Yeah, swajana. Guru nasasyat, swajana nasasyat. Swajana means relative. So it's not just, so the direction we came here about begetting children, but one should not even become a father or a husband. Any husbands around here? A couple of them, yeah. Oh, Advaita Charya Prabhu. Yeah, okay. Anybody a relative here? Swajana. Are you a relative? Anybody who's a relative? Wow. I think everybody's a relative here, yeah? Everybody is a relative here. So, although in the translation, Srila Prabhupada does not come out and say relative, but there in the word to word, swajana means relative. So one should not become a relative either, unless one can deliver that dependent relative. Now here, relative means somebody who is older, like in the cultural sense, this is like, between husband and wife, generally the husband is, the older, so to speak, the senior, just for purposes of society. But a relative is if you're an aunt or you're an uncle or you're an older brother or sister or older brother or cousin, any of that is a relative. And so one should not become a relative. It's not my fault I'm a relative, I mean, I was born, and because of you're born, you're a relative, yeah? I mean, that's just what happens. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think we have to start looking in a broader context, especially because you bring in relative, husband, worshipful demigod. There's a lot of power and potency in the relationship between man and woman. And the Vedas prescribe various systems to control that power. Arjuna recognized this when he was told to fight his relatives on the Battle of Kurukshetra. One of his arguments, which was a good argument, of course not better than Krishna's, but it was a good argument, that we have to understand we're part of a whole social system here. And if we take out one part of that, say like the men, the soldiers, then the women are left unprotected. Basically, the system goes out of balance, and all kinds of powerful energies in society are let loose that would ordinarily be contained by an intact system. So not only man and woman, husband and wife, but society, that has a part to play in how we think about these things.
Any thoughts on it? Yes.
I guess I agree with that because you hear that when the leader is spiritually like inclined and powerful, then the praja of like the place are more spiritually elevated as well.
Yes. Let me ask you a question. What is Diti's intention here? We read 15 verses. What do you think is Diti's intention for approaching Kashyapa? To beget children? Yes, continue.
I think it's sexual desire.
Sexual desire. Yes, Kartikeya bro.
I think because she does say in one of the verses that this will make him happy. So I think she's trying to
Make him happy. Okay. Yes, bro.
To confess and open up what's going on with her. She's like, she seems troubled by feelings that she's having, just expressing her state.
All these were, and there was one more thing that was mentioned in these verses. Another thing that was troubling her. One was sex desire. One was, yes.
think maybe she was a little jealous of her co-wives.
Yes, yes. So there was her own sexual desire. There was some enviousness of her co-wives, her desire to have a child, and then saying, you know, almost that part about that will make you happy. It was almost like, okay, if you know, if you don't want to do all this, by the way, it's going to make you also happy. So it was kind of more of a statement afterwards, somehow to get him, her husband, to do what she wanted. Now, what Srila Prabhupada is saying, again, back to this point, unless one is confident, he's saying not to engage in sexual activity unless you're confident that the result of it is going to be somebody that you're going to be able to take responsibility, very big responsibility. You think Diti had that in mind? Doesn't seem like that. But then the fact is that, isn't that the husband's duty? Yeah. I mean, that's what the Shastra says, I think. Yes, Prabhu?
I was just gonna say yes, yes it is.
It is the desire. So is it, I mean, it is his duty. So is it wrong? No. Advaita Charya Prabhu, you said no?
So you're saying it's the husband's duty to decide whether or not he's confident to have the kids, whether or not they should have the kids. Is that what's being said here?
No, it's not being said. This is not what is being said. What is being said here is what we are understanding. Again, okay, to your question, no, it's not the husband's decision to have a child or not. However, we do know that it takes two people. And so there has to be a proper, not only communication, but values between a man and a woman. And according to our scriptures, is that when a man and woman comes together, there should be proper communication that if we're going to have children, we should have children with the understanding that we can actually help deliver the soul. So it's up to the man, or it's not that it's up to the woman. In other words, a father, Srila Prabhupada writing one should not become a father or mother unless one is confident. So it's not necessarily that the husband has to decide or the woman has to decide. Here we see that the woman is asking her husband. And then from Shastra, we understand that a husband should fulfill a woman's desire to have a child. And so this is what the tension is going on. We see in these verses where she is wanting, and we don't hear the other part of the story, in which you will be hearing it soon what happens, but it's just not done at the proper time. There's always proper time and place and circumstance to do any activity. Any human being has responsibility, and that's the difference that Srila Prabhupada is saying here. Why, again, the question is, why is it so important that when a man and a woman come together, they should take the responsibility of, when they're bringing a child in this world, that they should know or should be confident that they can deliver. Why is that so important? And that's my main discussion here, is why is it so important? It's not necessarily how to do it, but why is that important? Kartikeya Prabhu?
Yeah, I think that it's the mode of goodness to think ahead of what the trajectory or the quality of life that you can provide for a living entity that's been put under your care. And yeah, and if something's put under your care, then you just want to make sure that you have maybe, I don't know, let's say bandwidth to provide for that appropriately. And not just whimsically say, yeah, you know, just because I want to, just because I have this desire, I'm just going to get it. I had that experience with buying a very expensive car when I was younger, and I just wanted it. And it was very expensive. And I could afford the initial payment, but then when it came for brakes and oil changes and all the other things that came with it, I couldn't keep up with it.
Thank you. Please go ahead and then Radhisham.
I was going to say, otherwise your children become like dittis and they cause suffering to the rest of the planet.
Yes, something like this previous point, that it brings unwanted populations, Arjuna was concerned. And second thing is, you will bring a lot of suffering on yourself and the very child.
So at least you can be a little selfish and think, it'll be suffering from myself. You haven't come.
Yeah, I think that there's an element of self-restraint that's important. Not just that you have to figure out a way to get it done, but maybe just back off completely. I mean, there are renounced orders in Vedic society.
So I'm assuming that by hearing what Srila Prabhupada is saying here, all of you are going to remain in Krishna house forever. Adisham said yes, he is. Yes, Advaita Prabhu. Why not? Shruti Sagar Prabhu, can you handle them? Yes, Nitai Gauranga Prasad Prabhu.
Or maybe this could inspire us to like actually take responsibility for our spiritual lives. And it's good to be confident that we are practicing seriously, and then we have that confidence, we would want to share it with others. So naturally, there comes a stage where you want to take responsibility of other people and help them in their path. So having children could be a way of doing that. We have heard that there's so many souls waiting to take birth as a human form, and take birth as a human so that they could continue the journey on the spiritual life. So once we are confident, we can help them to that.
Very good point, Nitya Prabhu. Also, in the very first comment that Kunti had made, that she said, then I may not be confident in myself, but I may be confident in the process of Krishna consciousness. I may be confident in my spiritual master. I may be confident in the association of devotees. And I think if we understand that yes, maybe we ourselves may not be confident, but the process of Krishna consciousness does work. And like Nitya Gauranga Prabhu was saying, that by that confidence, that thinking that yes, I can help another soul, I can do that with the help of Srila Prabhupada, with the help of the devotees, then yes, I can do this service. And it's a service. So to become, to enter into Grihastha ashram, to become a husband, to become a wife, to become a father, to become a mother, this is part of our Vedic culture, the culture that Srila Prabhupada has given us. He said that not everybody, and said very few, will remain brahmacharis or take to sannyas, but the majority will take to Grihastha ashram. And so, so the Grihastha ashram, and then which Grihastha ashram you enter, so you can be a receptacle for bringing children in the world. So yes, one can be confident. One should be confident.
Well, can I throw in something here?
Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
You said that the process works. But if we practically see in ISKCON, marriage rates, divorce rates are higher sometimes even in the community, the general community around. So how can we be so confident that the process works when we see that's what's actually played out on the ground in ISKCON's history?
Well, therefore, the training has to be the training part of as we enter into Grihastha ashram is very, very important. Is extremely important that we don't take it cheaply. The training that we get in Krishna house, the training that we get before entering to Grihastha life is extremely important. And why the training is important? Normally such things do happen, divorces and other things, is because, generally speaking, is because we have become diverted from the spiritual life most of the time. If we don't, and maybe you can and others can, and maybe Krishna Abhishek Prabhu can say, he's our research person here, all fields probably, is that when we don't have association of good, strong, stable Vaishnavas around us, when we don't have that association, that's when problem comes. And it comes, you don't realize, it comes very gradually that we don't even realize this is happening in our lives. So having a strict good association and very devotee friends that are very intimate with us, that we can actually express very confidentially, who care for us. We have mentors. It's not that you leave Krishna house and then you're out there and you don't have a mentor. Sometimes people enter into Grihastha life thinking that, okay, now I'm independent. now I don't need anybody. I have my own little Krishna house here with me, my whatever, and my little people that I can boss around with. It's yeah, you can only boss around for a little while, and then, like you already mentioned, what happens? What it is, it becomes. It's interesting, Prabhupada, what he says here. He says, he says, human life is the only opportunity to get out of the material scene. Material scene, and what is the scene? Of birth, death, old age, and disease. It's this material scene. I mean, yeah. So fact is that if we keep that association good, and we have good relations, intimate relationships, then it would not happen.
Well, I can answer my own question a little bit here.
Okay.
I think that this point about giving people, giving spirit souls the opportunity to have a human birth, because the human birth is like where you can exit this material world. I think that's a very important service to perform. And so one thing we learn here at Krishna House or any temple, the first thing is to render service. And so Grasta life, having children, if we see these things as service to Guru and Krishna, then it gives the strength of all the austerity we may have performed in brahmacharya ashram. It gives that strength to their activity. Don't you think?
I think that's just, yes, that's the essence. That is the essence. I mean, you said it really good, that we see that as a service. When we enter into the Gihasta ashram, service to the spiritual master, we're situating ourselves in the proper ashram so that we can do service to the spiritual master the best way.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that I'd be prepared to have sex hundreds of times if I could do this responsibility of making a child Krishna conscious, or giving the opportunity. Nate right away asked about what about the children's independence? Well, they have to make a choice. We have to create an environment that gives them the best opportunity to take advantage of the human form of life. Service, I think service attitude brings something to the table in the discussion.
I think you got the key element, service. Yes, Nate.
So I've been mulling this over a little bit. Nanda once told me like we can trap 20 college kids in a room and make them chant the mantra, but it's not going to do anything. And similarly with children, if we push anything onto them, it'll never yield results, and it'll just push them away actually. And children naturally idolize their parents, and to just be steady in your own practice while raising children, they'll naturally be curious and naturally look up to what their parents are doing, and in that way they can choose on their own, even from a young age. You never make them sit down and chant. Just chant yourself, and they'll be naturally inclined.
It's a very, very, very good point. Yes, Nate. Yes, Prabhu.
And to add to that too, though, we're never all one thing at once. Sometimes you have to be stern with them, and they have certain guidelines that they must follow. And then sometimes you have to recognize that maybe they need love. So it's just remaining formless and adapting to their personality and the situation. Same as any relationship, you just have to be able to adapt and like, hey, this is my house. This is how we do things. You're free to do what you want, but at the same, it's like a balance. But you don't want to be overly aggressive. Just, and then you show them successful people that do the practice. Like, see what they're doing.
Thank you. Yes, Advaita Prabhu.
Thank you very much for the class and the very lively discussion about things that we're cautioned again and again. And throughout the whole discussion, I kept thinking about the statement that it takes a village to raise the child, and how we can do everything in our power, but unless we have this support system, it's going to be very difficult to accommodate that free will that kicks in later on, 15, 16 year age, in a way that will be liberating for that young individual and for the entire family. So again, stressing the importance of community. In Croatia, we have a saying, a good neighbor is better than a brother. And I kept thinking about Amish community also, how they have such a strong support system that at the age of, I think, 16 or 17, they're given freedom. They can actually go to the world, experience it. But over 90% of those who leave the communities, they actually come back because they know how supportive, how encouraging, how well off the community is. I mean, when a couple gets married, for example, the whole community jumps in over the weekend to build them a house because they're very skilled carpenters. Yeah, you don't find it out there.
Yeah.
So unless we have that kind of gelling and the strength, yeah, the risk of them leaving and not coming back will be very high.
Yes, Karthik. Krishna Abhishek Prabhu.
First of all, thank you for this wonderful class. And I was thinking of my own growth in Krishna consciousness. I was given Harinam when I was 5, and I didn't take it seriously. And growing up, I had all the mentors that one could ask for, and I thought it was the uncoolest thing possible. Right? But only after I met someone, Tamakrishna Maharaj, who gave me the justification, the broad picture of why what I received from my culture was actually very valuable. And only when I went out in the world, I realized the value of what I had received, that I began to take it seriously. And what has sustained me over the years, will be about 37 years this year, are two things that Rupa Goswami points out. One is Sahridaya, that is same-hearted association, and Suhridaya, which is good-hearted association. Right? So unless we are, the one thing that struck me is that, when we have ifs and buts in our heart that do not get addressed, that we cannot share with anybody, those things keep growing till it becomes a thing in our head. Right? Only when we are able to acknowledge it, accept it, and that we have very good Vaishnava friends who will, Guhyama Khati Prichati, right? Who will preserve our secrets. And then there are loving exchanges. Then it is very easy to sustain in Krishna consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu, for that comment. Karthik here, Prabhu.
Yeah, recently I've been meditating on the 6 principles of Krishna House? Or 6 spiritual values of Krishna House. Because I'm kind of just getting ready to set up a website for a different Krishna House. And when we're talking today on Nate's point about and on your point about taking care of our spiritual life, one of the the values is acharya, teaching by example. And I was wondering if I can read these few sentences
Please go ahead.
from the sign. It says, through deep understanding of bhakti, an acharya shows how to live a full life with minimal possessions, and that service is what satisfies the heart. By their good behavior, acharyas inspire the integrity and good character of others. This is the essence of education and true leadership. It is the basis of dignity, respect, and trust. We find these profound qualities in the life and teachings of our ISKCON's founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Thus, at Krishna House, we accept him as our preeminent teacher.
Thank you. Thank you. Over here.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't see you behind.
Oh no, all good. How do we come to the decision to have a child when we know that Kali Yuga will progressively get worse and worse and worse, and that the material world is dark, and the education system, the public education system, is really horrible. So, like, how can we come to that decision?
That's the reason that you should have a child, knowing that the world is so crazy and needs some good souls. So our grihastas actually should have many, many children, despite Kali Yuga, or because of Kali Yuga, because it's not by chance, although there are exceptions, we know in our Shastra, some exception, but good grihastas who are serious about their spiritual life should think that, again, the point about having service. So doing this as a service to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, to our movement. We need to have good children. We need to have, and Krishna will help. Krishna will help. The world is going to go crazy. We do need children that are going to help this world. So it's for Srila Prabhupada. And have faith and have confidence. So I'm following. And yes, the world has always been crazy, to be honest. Just a little extra now. But yeah, so we should have children. Be confident. Well, I was waiting for you to say that. But yes.
This weekend was.
Oh, there you are. So please attend that. Whoever can attend that. When is it? Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
10 to 5. So if you have time to do so, please do that. So any further questions or comments? We're out of time. That's the last comment. Okay. Thank you very much for your kind attention. And thank you all of you for giving the class today. So, Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama. Bhagavad Mahaprasad ki jai.